And gamers of all ages, this is TJ signing off for another episode of Monster Hunter World.
Oh, it's
I
easy.
know I've put up a few other episodes of just gameplay without much talking to be done. I'm sorry for that. Most of the time I'm usually running with numerous members of my squad, which can be anywhere from 3 of us to 6 of us on at a time, and we're all on headsets, so sometimes it can be a little hard to talk and be heard while broadcasting. But I just want to give everyone an actual update since it's just me playing it in a normal online session for once. I've made a lot of progress in the game. I already have a little over 70 hours in on the game since its launch last Friday. And I've come a long way, as you can probably see on the upper right hand corner of my screen. I'm at the point where I have to do the old world monster and the new world quest, which is a somewhat decent amount into the story. Is not the end of the story, but needless to say, I'm at the point where I can do high rank missions. I've been able to for a little bit. I guess I'll go ahead and show you guys my gear. On the left hand side, I'm wearing all high rank gear. Just to show you guys the skills that I have. On the right hand side, I have attack boost 3, bleeding resistance, poison attack, and paralyzed attack, and critical eye at 2, constitution, and divine blessing at 1. If I were to switch my attack gem out from my usual weapon that I've been using lately, the light bow gun, my attack boost would be level 4, and everything else would stay the same. But just to kind of show you guys what I'm working with, I'll show you guys some of my gear here. Now, this particular setup might not work for everyone. That is the beauty of this game. Since there are no classes in this game, except whatever you want to classify yourself as based on the weapon that you decide to end up using, which I personally would suggest uh, starting with one particular weapon that you are particularly fond of and prefer to use because it just, fits your playstyle initially. But once you get to a certain point in the story and start unlocking higher and higher ranked missions, I would advise trying to find a second weapon to make of a different style or a different class of weapon, just for some diversity. Like me, for instance, when I was in the betas, the longsword is what called to me, and I just prefer the play style of the longsword. So I stuck with that for a while, and ended up making several long swords with different attributes, which I'll cut through this guy's chat. Uh, these are my weapons and gear that I have. Just to make sure it's all organized. This is my most powerful longsword that I have currently. It's good for different things and different monsters. I also have the Pulsar Shocktale 3, which is slightly weaker on the attack, but has positive affinity and does thunder damage, which is really good for certain monsters that are weak to thunder. I also have the Jayura Satella 1, which is still a little bit weaker, but because I haven't upgraded it lately, but it does additional water damage. I haven't come across too many monsters that are actually weak to water. There are a few that do have weakness to water, but there's not a whole lot of them, which is why I haven't upgraded this particular longsword in a while. And I have my fire longsword, which is one of my stronger longswords, and as you can see, it does fire damage as well as the attack damage, but has the negative affinity, which most people try to stay away from negative affinity because it can affect your penetrating or piercing damage when attacking, the hunt monsters or just monsters in general. But there are ways to lower increase your affinity, like through charms or specific gear. And then this is another one of my higher level long swords, and as you can see, it does fire damage. Okay, so I have two that do fire damage. Okay, that's right. I planned on upgrading this one, this long sword, to another one which will change its element. Let's see here. What else can I cover? I have another. Here's another one of my long swords. As you can see, it does a hefty amount of poison damage, which is always nice to have. And this one, I'm in the progress of upgrading it to a different stage once I get the materials. It's just right now I don't have the materials to upgrade it, but it's at that stage where I just need, a few materials to upgrade it to the stage that I want it to be at. This sword, long sword, again, doesn't have really any particular elements or anything, but it has decent attack. And this one, when once I upgrade it one more stage to the weapon I want it to be, it will have the element of paralysis, which I'll go over some of this here in a minute. Now you can, for those of you that are new to Monster Hunter, and Monster Hunter World is the first game of the series that you play, the wish list has never really been in any of the other previous Monster Hunter games until now. And what the wish list does is, which if you hit options and go to info and down to wish list right here, you can have up to 6 pieces of weapons or gear, or a mix of both. Which most people that I play with usually have their entire wish list set up, like constantly filled to an extent. And what it lets you do is if you're looking through the forest weapons, forest armor, and things like that, and you're looking through the trees, to kind of get an idea of how you want to progress your weapon, which I highly recommend you do, is to thoroughly study each weapon, or if you have one or two weapons that you like, stick with that one weapon or two weapons, which, like I said earlier, I would recommend at some point starting to formulate a secondary weapon that you want to use as a backup or for situations, like certain hunts. Is that can come in huge, especially if you play online with other people. and you're always running with like two, even one other person. You know, uh, team chemistry is huge. So if you find yourself running multiple missions with like the same person or same two or three people, and you guys end up working really well together, and you do like multiple mission quests together. But by all means, send them your guild card. So that way you can always like see if they're on or not, and hit them up. See if they won't mind being your friend. Like friending you on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, whichever system you played on. And just keep working as a unit, and the more you work together, the better chemistry you'll have, and you'll find that certain situations and certain hunts require a different approach, which usually means not just different gear, but different weapons too. Like me, I don't plan on having more than just my long swords and my light bow gun, which I just recently started using about 2 days ago, and I just really started to like it. So when I'm running with my squad, and there's like like 3 or 4 of us running together, I'll use my light bow gun. Because most of them are up close and personal and are fighting, and your weapons can hit your friends. It's not going to do any damage because friendly fire is off, but you can still hit your friends if you're too close to each other and you're all using melee weapons. There's a chance that your attack could hit them and knock them to the side, or knock them back, or knock them up into there, and potentially mess up the attack that they were trying to do, which is not good. So when, like I said, I use my light bow gun when I'm running with my squad, and there's at least 3 of us, so I can stand back and shoot the hunt monster with status effects and help catch monsters, and not have to worry about that, and just let the other 3 take certain points on the monster. But like that poison sword that I just showed you, here it is again. It's on my wish list. This isn't the same one. This is just an upgrade to one of my other weapons that's on my wish list. And as you can see right there, it shows you what materials you need. And the great thing about the wish list, and I highly recommend using at all times, is when you're out in the field, whether you're doing an expedition or doing a particular hunt or an investigation, and say you get a piece of gear or an item that you need for one of your something on your wish list, it will pop up on the right side of the screen and tell you that you got something for that.